Howdy y'all, it's Chris with Shell Fitness, your favorite trainer with a belt buckle. Today we're going to be going over hip anatomy, knee anatomy, and some ankle anatomy. Before we get into that though, make sure to follow us on Instagram and YouTube. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Our next internship is going to be beginning June 3rd. So, hip anatomy, knee anatomy, ankle anatomy. Before we start getting into the muscles, we're going to start in the anatomical position and go through the actions. So when you lift your hip up, it's called hip flexion. When you come back, it's extension. The agonist for flexion is going to be your psoas. Agonist for extension is going to be your glute max. When you come out in the frontal plane, abduction, and the reason we call it AB, because if you say it fast, abduction, adduction, it's kind of hard to understand it too. When you come across and back towards the midline, adduction. Add to the midline, adduction, abduction, going away. We got the glute med, agonist for AB. AD is going to be your adductor magnus. Then we have the transverse rotation, come out, external rotation, which will be your piriformis, and then when you come in, internal rotation, and then your adductor magnus or pectineus. Those are the actions of the hip. The knee hinge joint works in one plane, unless, and it's going to get the transverse, and that's not going to feel very good. Back and forth, so we're going to extend, we're going to flex. Quads for extension, hammies for flexion. And then we have going to our toes, plantar flexion, having our toes come up, dorsiflexion. You sprain an ankle by inverting it, evert it when your ankles, your medial malleolus comes in. Those are the main actions, obviously some more, but when we teach through the internship, when we go through hip, knee, and ankle anatomy, that's what we're going to focus on. So before you even get into the individual names, we got to start with understanding the actions and the planes of motion. From there, we get into the groups. This group, everyone pretty much knows the name, the quadriceps, but the group specific names, we have the rectus femoris, which is biarticulate, it crosses both joints, the hip and the knee. Then you have the lateral, vastus lateralis, one of the largest muscles of the lower body. Vastus medialis, which is the teardrop, pretty small. And in the middle, cleverly called the intermedius. Again, the quadricep group is the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, medialis, intermedius. On the posterior side, we have the hamstring muscles. So if you were to reach behind your knee, you're going to feel some guitar strings. On the lateral outside part, you're going to have one. That's your bicep femoris. On the medial part, you're going to have your semis. Semimembranosus, semitendinosus. Those three make up your hamstrings. Now the bicep is separated into the short head and the long head, of which they flex the knee and they also extend the femur. Other group of muscle, glutes, probably the easiest. The largest muscle of the lower body is your gluteus maximus. If you were to remove it on the upper portion, the superior portion, you have the glute med. Underneath the glute med, you're going to have the glute min. Max, med, and min. You have the adductor group. Some of the few muscles of the lower body that actually have that name, a part of the action part of the name. So you got the adductor magnus, longus, brevis. Major League Baseball, magnus, longus, brevis, MLB. So when we go down to the calves, I call it the burger. So you have 5 calf muscles. Posterior one, you can see this beauty right there. It's called your gastrocnemius. Below the gastrocnemius, you have your soleus. So my thumb would be the gastroc, and you have your soleus. The meat would be your peroneal muscles, which you have a few in there. Then moving anteriorly, you have your posterior tib and then your anterior tib. So we start from the anterior side and move posteriorly. Anterior tib, posterior tib, peroneal muscles, and then your soleus and your gastroc, and that makes up that burger. All right, so those are the groups: quads, hammies, glutes, adductors, and then your calves. Now let's get into understanding the muscles within the action, which is a lot more. That can be kind of a handful. We're just going to stick with the 6 actions of the hip: extension, flexion, of knee, and then your ankle. If you want to get better at anatomy, learn anatomy by getting a poster. I suggest a simple anatomy book, which is Sieg Adams, the 5th edition. This is basic anatomy, still very complex. When you take a look at the text, we're going to have your O's and I's. So it's going to start out with O, which is your origin, your I, which is the insertion, A is the action, N is the nerve that innervates it, P is how you can palpate it. So start on page 70. They're going to start out with one of the longest muscles of the human body. My favorite and my future dog name, and I even have it on my keychain, Sartorius. It's such a cool name. Sartorius, where are you? Sounds like a badass dog, right? Sartorius is one of the longest muscles in the human body. It starts at the hip, comes in medially, and it connects on the anterior part of your tibia. The lateral muscle, another lateral muscle, you're going to have your TFL, tensor fasciae lata, and then your gracilis. The reason I'm talking about these three is because those three muscles stabilize the hip and the knee in stance. So the lateral TFL, your sartorius, and then your gracilis, they stabilize the hip, and they come down and they stabilize the knee. So let's start with the names of the muscles within the action. So again, hip flexion, 10 muscles. The agonist is your psoas. You're also going to have your MLB, magnus longus brevis, your pectineus. We're going to have your tensor fasciae lata, your sartorius, and rectus femoris. Those are going to be your main flexors. The iliacus comes together with the psoas to form the iliopsoas, referred to as the psoas major. Tight hip muscles, we don't really need to stretch them. Let's focus on strengthening them. There's some logic for you. My hips are real tight. Let's stretch them for 7 hours. Does it get better? No, I'm going to stretch it more. Well, that's technically insanity, right? So if you want to maybe help with that tightness, let's strengthen the glutes, the antagonistic muscle, which when you bring your leg back, if you want a big ass, you got to extend BGASS, bicep femoris, which is one of the hamstrings, G, Gluteus Maximus, adductor magnus, semimembranosus, semitendinosus. So when you come back, your glutes are the agonists, so the antagonists would be your psoas. Your hamstring group is going to work with it as well. And the adductor, you've got the posterior fibers, which are going to extend. The anterior fibers are going to flex. In the frontal plane, we're going to go out abduction. The agonist is your glute med. You're also going to have the min. And if you make sure to do this with a partner, you feel the glutes, just joking. You put your leg out, you're going to feel the upper parts of the glute are going to be hard. So the upper fibers are going to abduct. Your lower butt cheek isn't hard because it's not being engaged. So we have the glute max, med, and min, abduct, upper fibers of the max. And you're going to have your sartorius and your TFL. That sartorius sucker, he keeps on coming around because it's a cool muscle. It does about 5 things, not only the hip, but also the knee. Also in the frontal plane, we're going to adduct, 5 muscles that do that. Major League Baseball has great pitching. Major League Baseball has great pitching. Magnus longus brevis, gracilis, and pectineus. All of those are going to adduct the femur. Then we're going to get into the transverse plane. External rotation, in which the agonist is your piriformis. You're also going to have your glutes engaged. But then you're going to have the deep 6 rotators. The deep 6 rotators you're going to have, or the deep 6 rotators, you have the piriformis, quadratus femoris, your pectoral muscles, and then there's 2 of them, and then you have your gemellus muscles. So the deep 6 rotators are very similar to like the rotator cuff up here. So you have your 4 rotator cuff muscles. You have 6 that really secure that head of the femur into that socket. And then we're going to have internal rotation. Internal rotation is coming in. And your agonist is going to be your adductor magnus, longus brevis, pectineus gracilis, and you're going to have your TFL working with that as well. Then we're going to go to the knee. So the knee, when we come out, it's extension. So you have your quadriceps, which are going to extend the knee. Remember, the rectus femoris is flexing the hip and extending. So you have your vastus lateralis, medialis, intermedius, rectus femoris. You also have, for extensors, those are there's 5 of them. Your TFL works a little bit of knee extension as well. And then you have the opposite, which is going to be coming back, knee flexion, which is going to be your semis, semimembranosus, semitendinosus, bicep femoris. Got your gastrocnemius working with that as well. You're going to have some deeper palpatus plantaris muscle that are flexing the knee. Now when we get down to the ankle and you come to your toes, when you're standing, you have the gastrocnemius, which is biarticulate, crosses the knee and the ankle joint. So if you want to train your more superficial muscle, the gastroc, do things that are standing. When you bend the knee, Game of Thrones, and you come up and you work with plantar flexion with the knee bent, you're going to be working more your soleus. So which one is better? That depends. On Monday, do 5 sets of 6 standing. On Wednesday, do 6 sets of 8. Play around with the rep ranges, play around with the exercises. So those are the main actions when it comes to hip anatomy. and just the lower body in general. There's 40 plus muscles around the hip. You're gonna have some from up here like your obliques and your rectus abdominis, your lats as well, and some deep core muscles. But down here we got a lot of muscles that are around the hip. Then we get into the knee and the ankle. It can be very overwhelming, and the average trainer is gonna say, I don't wanna do this anatomy. Why do our clients need to know that stuff? Your clients aren't gonna ask you, what's the longest muscle in the human body? Sartorius! There he came again, he's all over the place. But it's like, would you want to go to a doctor who you're about to get your blood pressure and they're like, oh, what is that thing? They didn't know the basic pieces of equipment that are around them. It'd be kind of scary, right? The average trainer just pushes anatomy away. Anatomy is a beautiful thing. 650 plus muscles of skeletal muscle. A lot of muscles. You don't need to memorize them all, but the main muscles, it's probably like 40 or 50 for the average trainer. It's not that much. Take some time, invest in your knowledge, and you're going to become a great trainer. Don't be average like you and everyone else and just sweep this under the table. If you want to be a significant trainer and make this a career, understand your hip muscles. Know the hamstrings, know the quads, know the glutes, the adductors, the calf muscles. Know the specific names. Then get into the actions. And that's a lot more challenging. It took me a long time, and hands down, my anatomy is the best right now, and I probably even screwed up some of the stuff throughout the video. It's not 100%. I know everything about it. I'm constantly learning. I'm getting into the smaller muscles and trying to figure out what they do with the foot and the bones and all that fun stuff. So anatomy is very fun. Don't get discouraged. Talk with some friends. Go sit in a class at university. Anatomy will make you a great trainer. Those are the muscles around the hip and knee and the ankle. If you have any questions, make sure to send us a comment, leave us a comment. ShowUpFitness.com. Thank you all for watching.